Our opponents in the other party have been watching, and they like to comfort themselves with the thought that a competitive campaign will leave us divided and weak. But I've got news for them. A competitive primary does not divide us, it prepares us, and we will win.
And a big win for Mitt Romney in Florida tonight. The former Massachusetts governor rolls to victory in tonight's Sunshine State primary. Romney's win evident from the outset of the evening. A double-digit advantage over his closest contender. Good evening, I'm Michael Williams.
I'm Kelly Dunn, and you're watching a special one-hour election edition of News Channel 5 at 11. Tonight's primary is a possible game changer in the race for the Republican presidential nomination. This evening, we have you covered from Tampa to Orlando at Newt Gingrich and Mitt Romney's Florida campaign headquarters, to a report on today's voter turnout and polling from Palm Beach County to the Treasure Coast.
Throughout our broadcast, you can see election results scrolling at the bottom of your screen. We begin our coverage with News Channel 5's Evan Axelbank live at Mitt Romney's headquarters in Tampa with more on his big victory. Evan.
And Michael, this was the win that Mitt Romney's campaign and his supporters wanted. Mitt Romney came here to the Tampa Convention Center with a message for the president, with a message for his fellow Republicans, and he came with a message for anybody who wondered whether he could get a second win after losing in South Carolina. He proved that he could take a beating and come back. By Florida standards, it was an early night. Mitt Romney addressed his supporters an hour and 30 minutes after being declared the winner.
Thank you to the people in this room and to the people all over Florida. Thank you tonight for this great victory.
Romney spent very little time talking about the people he beat at the polls tonight. Instead, he skipped right ahead to attack President Obama.
Mr. President, you were elected to lead. You chose to follow. And now it's time for you to get out of the way.
He left the weeks of negative ads behind. Ads that analysts say helped Romney recover after defeat in South Carolina. Romney argued that the process is making his party stronger.
Our opponents in the other party have been watching, and they like to comfort themselves with the thought that a competitive campaign will leave us divided and weak. But I've got news for them. A competitive primary does not divide us, it prepares us.
After tonight, his position also seems stronger. He adds the support of 50 more delegates and becomes the first candidate to win a second nominating contest. And Romney used the primetime speaking slot to focus on the president, the man he's now a bit closer to taking on this fall. His eyes are on the big prize.
Like his colleagues in the faculty lounge, who think they know better, President Obama demonizes and denigrates almost every sector of our economy.
But keep in mind, Romney will certainly take this burst of momentum. But at the same time, more than 95% of the delegates still have yet to be awarded. Mitt Romney tonight, to put this in perspective, only won 50 of the 1,100 delegates that he's going to need to become the Republican nominee for President of the United States. We're live in Tampa tonight. Evan Axelbank, WPTV News Channel 5.
Evan, thank you. If you watched television at all this week, it was pretty clear to see that Mitt Romney went hard after Newt Gingrich.
A whole slew of ads that you couldn't get away from, fresh off Gingrich's win in South Carolina. The two men spent big money on those campaign ads, but Romney spent a lot more of it. Many of the ads negative, and they did have a big impact.
Our team coverage continues in Orlando with Alex Sands. He's live at Newt Gingrich's campaign headquarters. Alan?
And you know, Kelly, heading into today, there was that question of was this the beginning of the end or the end of the beginning? Newt Gingrich tonight certainly saying this is far from over, vowing to press on into Nevada later this week and into the convention this fall, saying he will, when this is all said and done, be the nominee for the Republican Party. Tonight, just one more step along the way. Earlier tonight, as that crowd was here, it was rather subdued at first, but quite energized when Newt Gingrich took the stage. Again, telling them what he'd been telling us for days, going over those campaign talking points about jobs, the economy, foreign policy, things he would do differently than Mitt Romney, things he would do differently than Barack Obama, all things he said would make him the better president. Always a conversation about who was the true conservative in this race. He again reminding the crowd that he was their choice for that, and then on from there. So today he says he is pressing on, taking this every single step of the way into the fall.
It is now clear that this will be a two-person race between the conservative leader, Newt Gingrich, and the Massachusetts moderate.
No sooner did he say that, his campaign surrogates began working the crowd, talking to supporters and talking to us about how things may have been leading up to this for some time, talking about Mitt Romney's presence here in Florida for several years, and also on Twitter, the former Senator Fred Thompson taking to Twitter to talk about the race really heating up and how Newt needed everybody's help now to get Obama, as he put it, Obamacare off of their backs. And so today, the spin machine underway here in Orlando. This is what one Newt supporter told us a short time ago.
You know, Mitt Romney's been running for president for about 7 years. He's been in Florida for about 4 years. So it's quite natural that he would have a leg up in this state. Money will not buy you this election. It helps, but it won't buy it. And frankly, the majority of the Republican Party does not want Mitt Romney for its nominee. And once we continue to shore up the rest of the base onto Newt Gingrich's side, I think he's going to come out on top. I really do.
He said he'd press on no matter what happened here today, and that is exactly what he's doing. In the air this hour, heading to Nevada. He'll be there tomorrow for the beginning of a week-long event of campaigning before the caucus there this weekend. On to there, he says, prepare for what could be, he's hoping, a pretty significant Super Tuesday for him in March. Alex Sands, WPTV News Channel 5.
Florida is a winner-take-all state. Ron Paul and Rick Santorum, faced with far scarcer resources, are focusing their attention now out west in Nevada and Colorado.
News Channel 5's Jay Cashmere joins us from the live desk with more on those two candidates. Jay?
Michael Kelly, both Rick Santorum and Ron Paul spent much of the day in Colorado, far from the Sunshine State, but they watched Florida's results from Nevada. They both say they are looking forward to the race continuing.
There's one message that I think we got from the campaign in Florida, is that Republicans can do better. Yes. We can do better than we can do better than the discussion and the dialogue and the accusations that were going on in the state of Florida. And
something big is happening in this country, and it's all very favorable. There's a mess up in Washington. They've created a mess. They've given us a lousy foreign policy. They've given us a lousy budget, and they've given us a lousy recession. But where the wonderful thing is happening is in the grassroots.
Well, the fight now heads west to the desert. Nevada's caucuses are this Saturday, followed by Colorado and Minnesota on Tuesday. Reporting from the live desk, I'm Jay Cashmere, News Channel 5.